What is up, Division 2 agents? This is Gamer for Life back with another Division 2 video. In this video, I'm going to show you the best way I found to get through the Incursion Paradise Lost. Setup for the most part is going to be 3 DPS and 1 future healer build, and you want to make sure that the healer build has the BTSU gloves so they can continuously reset your revive hives. There are exceptions to this setup, kind of like this first section. You could go 2 DPS, 1 healer, and a tank build. And we'll get into why a tank here in a minute. So this first part is pretty straightforward. Objective is to fight through the NPCs to get to the turret and take the turret out. Now this turret is super powerful and can take you out in a heartbeat. So one thing I've found that makes this part easier is to either have a decoy that you can throw out, which will get the turret's attention, or like I mentioned, you can have one person with a tank build to stand in front of the turret with their big shield and take all of the aggro while the DPS guy climbs up and disables the turret. And the way you disable the turret is there's going to be these little windows that you can shoot through, and that's going to have a little purple bar in there. Just take that out and that'll disable the turret. Also, you want to make sure and take out the snipers before climbing up there because they do have line of sight on you and will take you out if you ignore them. So take out the turret, then run to the other side and do the same thing while taking out NPCs along the way. And that's pretty much it for the first part. Now getting into the second part, this is a straight up DPS check basically, because you're trying to kill the enemies as fast as possible. I found it best if the 3 DPS players split up, 1 up the stairs to the left, 1 up the stairs to the right, and then 1 behind the tanker with the healer, and of course the healer throwing chems at the 2 DPS players not by them. And you want to separate because there's going to be a phase where these enemies with diamonds over their head are going to come out, and the heavies are going to come out at different locations. So you want to make sure and have your DPS players at different angles so that they can take them out as fast as possible. So you start this encounter by turning this that's on the back of the tanker. There will be regular enemies that spawn. Once you take this initial wave of enemies out, then you are going to have enemies that come out, like I said, with the diamonds over their heads, 2 snipers, and some heavies. Again, these are the NPCs that can damage the tanker, and you want to take them out as fast as possible. After you take them out, then you'll get a wave of rushers coming out at you, and then you're basically gonna rinse and repeat and do the same thing again. After the second time of this happening, you'll have a few heavy cleaners come out, just regular ones, not ones that will do damage to the tanker. Take them out, and then the rogue striker drones will spawn. These things hit hard, so sometimes a decoy is good here as well, or just take them out as fast as possible before they down you. And after you take these drones out, then you will have 2 more waves of the enemies with diamonds over their heads trying to take out the tanker. So once you take that last wave out, there is a door going into the building that if you are close to it will automatically open, and a heavy named boss will have a gunner trying to take out the tankers. And when it does open, if you could get at least 1 person to get behind the heavy and shoot the tank on his back, that will definitely help take him out even faster. And yeah, that's pretty much it there. Now the third encounter, probably where some teams struggle the most, especially if you do not have any communication. This is the one thing as a solo player I struggled with when trying to do this incursion, and is why it took me so long to finally complete it. But luckily I did find a group that communicated well and also had the build setups we needed to get through the incursion. So the mechanics for this part is pretty simple. You see either circles or squares on the floor. You need to agree what to call each section so you know what areas you need to release the water valves on. So when you first walk in, you'll see an area with circles. We call this the dance floor. The area to the right we call the dining room. The area to the left we called the bar. And then the area straight ahead right in front of the double doors where the boss comes out, we called the stage. So the objective is to get the named enemy to stop on one of those circles or squares, because when he spawns he's completely immune, and the only way to damage him is to get water on him from the sprinklers in the ceiling. And those are right above those circles and squares. So the way to get him to stop on one of those is someone is going to get the eye. If you did Dark Hours raid, you'll know, like at the boomer, whoever has an eye is who the boss is going after. So if you have the eye, he's going to chase you, but when you stop, he's going to stop and swing at you. So what you want to do is stop on the other side of the box, so he'll stop in the box or the circle. And at that time, you'll call for the person who is doing the valves to turn the valve, and that's going to get the water on him, and then that starts your damage phase. And you can damage him for like 10 seconds or so. Meanwhile, ads will be spawning, and the DPS players just need to make sure and take them out. Now, people do it a lot of different ways. If one way I like to do it is the healer and one DPS player is taking care of the boss while the other two DPS players are taking care of the ads. And then of course when the damage phase comes, those other DPS players can also put damage on the boss. Now the NPCs won't always be around there, because you can take out a wave of the NPCs and then it'll just be the boss. One thing I will say, and I played with a lot of groups who did this, so like I said, you get the eye of the boss, you get him there, and then the person is going to turn the valve. Now when that person turns the valve, the eye is then immediately put on them, and what they would do a lot of times is just start running all over the place. And what that does is make the DPS players have to run around trying to put as much damage on the boss as possible while he's being ran all over the area. Please don't do that. Look at what I do here. I turned the valve, got the eye, but instead of running, I just kept him where he was by dodging his hits, and that allowed my team to continuously put that damage on him without having to move around and chase the boss. So you basically go through that sequence, and that's really all you're doing here over and over again until you take his bar all the way down. Now you'll start to get some heavies to spawn when you get the boss's health lower, but again, your DPS players should be taking care of those NPCs. Also, you can see his armor bar, you have 3 taller lines, and when you get his armor to those lines, he will do some kind of charge up attack where you'll see all this purple smoke, and this will pretty much take most of your health away. But if you are in your healer's restore hive area, you should be good. And that's honestly all you need to know about this part. After 4 or 5 damage phases, depending on how much DPS your team is outputting, then just take his health bar all the way down and move on to the next part. On the final encounter, the biggest thing you want to do is to keep the 2 bosses separated as far apart as possible. The objective here is to put damage on the boss that does not have the defender drone. Now the defender drone is called the Kid, and it stays with one boss. Now that boss in the defender drone is immune to damage. So what you want to do is to put damage on the boss that does not have that defender drone. And when that boss starts taking too much damage, it will call for that defender drone, and then the other boss will send it to him. Now at this time, now the defender drone can take damage, and what you want to do is take that defender drone out before it gets to that other boss. That's why you want the distance between the bosses, because that gives you more time to take the drone out if they're far apart. So when you do take the drone out, then this is your damage phase. The 2 bosses will meet up on the stage area to fix the drone, and your team needs to position yourselves to start putting damage on them. So my team, we went in that little cubby hole that's up there, as you can see. This is also where a decoy will come into play as well, because Johnson will throw out sniper turrets that will absolutely wreck you. That's why you want to focus in on him and do as much damage as possible to Johnson, trying to take him out first. Now, I will make a separate video showcasing the build that I use, but having Sledgehammer here, where you can get a lot of extra damage, is huge. And then once he does take a certain amount of damage, he will also put out a healing box, and you want to take that box out as fast as possible because it will heal them up quick. Once the drone is fixed, the damage phase is over, then mortars will start dropping, and you want to make sure and avoid them as well. And also, if the sniper turret is still out, you want to take that out as fast as possible. Also, keep an eye out because he will now keep throwing them out. Those sniper turrets, like I said, will absolutely one-shot you. So just be mindful of that. Again, just use your decoy to take the aggro and buy you some time to take the turret out. Then basically rinse and repeat. Obviously, you will have ads spawning as well, so just take them out as you go. Your healer should be making sure everyone is good in their health. And on the second damage phase, you should be able to take Johnson out. And when you do, Martinez will shoot a flare in the sky, and you'll have to again start dodging those mortars that will now be constant until you take Martinez down. At this point, that's all you have to do. Just take out Martinez and that's it. Clear the ads and that's all she wrote, my friends. Now, it probably is easier said than done because you have to, if you're a solo player like me, it may be a little tough to find that team, that coordinated team that communicates. So hopefully you guys all had better luck than I did with getting the exotic SMG. But one thing I do like is it is a guaranteed exotic that you get out of the box. I've even seen people getting the Eagle Bear out of this, so that's pretty awesome. Hope you guys found this helpful in your incursion runs. This is definitely a great addition to the game and highly replayable, so that's always a good thing. And if anyone out there has any more suggestions on this incursion, please leave them in the comments. As you guys all know, this channel is all about helping each other out, get better at the game, and to help get through this content with ease. So yeah, if you have anything to add on, we would definitely appreciate that. So that's gonna do it for this video, my friends. Hope you guys are doing good, staying safe out there, and as always, my YouTube family, take it easy.